Hi, welcome. I'm visualizing or trying to visualize all of your beautiful, warm faces. I'm Emily Joy Weiner. I'm the co-founder and artistic director of Houses on the Moon for those of you that don't know me. And I'm just thrilled to be sharing our newest endeavor with you, which is Houses on the Moon, the podcast. Houses is coming up on its 20th year, and we're just taking this time to look back on the incredible breadth of stories that we have heard and creatively developed over the past 2 decades. Our work has always been about finding and discovering the vital untold story and amplifying unheard voices. And so the making of this podcast feels like a perfectly genuine fit to what we do, because it's all about the raw stories that our work grows from and develops from, and along with the community partners that bring our work to its authentic self and authentic life. We have completed our fully produced pilot episode of Houses on the Moon, the podcast, and we're celebrating that tonight with you. We have high hopes and plans to move forward with a full and rich season, which is just so exciting to all of us that we're finally doing this, because honestly, making a podcast has been something we've talked about for so long and always has felt like something we should do. And now in this world that we're living in, we were given the opportunity, I should say, to just make it happen. We're extremely grateful to all of you that have donated already, which is a whole lot of you. It means so much. And I have to mention that we're just completely honored, so grateful to have to the Lanky Family Foundation and to have a matching grant for this program. So thank you. Anything that we raise this month will be matched up to $5,000. So just remember that your donation of any amount will be doubled. Amazing. There's a donate link here. I hope you can see it, as well as in the description box below. So tonight we're going to start off by listening to just a few minutes from our pilot episode, which we realize some of you have heard already and many of you have not, which is totally fine. We will not be listening to the full pilot tonight, just to clarify. That is yours to listen to at your own listening pleasure. It should have been emailed to you already. If you haven't received it yet, of course, just let us know and you'll get it. So our pilot episode, it features Ian Eaton and his story, Steve, from our production of Gun Country. After listening to the first couple minutes that you're going to hear in a moment, we'll discuss the process. We will meet our full podcast, amazing creative team. We will witness a bonus performance by Ian and participate in some further conversation inspired by his performance. So whether you're watching on Facebook or YouTube, you can leave comments or ask questions at any time, and we will get to those later in the evening. So do not be shy. Please ask your questions. We want to collaborate with you always. The evening is going to run less than an hour. Again, thank you so very, very much for joining us. And now, please keep your ear to the ground and listen.
My body shakes and trembles uncontrollably. I wonder if they can feel me shaking. At 9 years old, I'm pretty slick at talking my way out of a tight spot. But there is no way I'm going to talk my way out of this. They know I'm scared. I'm going to count to 3. And if you don't give me that fucking windbreaker, I'm going to keep punching you in the face. Yeah, his equally huge friend says as he holds me. And them sneaks is deaf too. How did I even get here? Even though we lived in the projects in Harlem during the 80s crack era, my mother kept a close eye on me, especially when playing outside. She stood ever vigil at the window with binoculars in hand, in full commando mode. However, today, I'd broken my cardinal rule of staying out of the staircases. There's no telling who or what you'll run into once you go down a flight and turn that corner to go down again. Drugs, sex, or violence. Let's not even mention the smell. But here I am. The big dude starts counting. 1. It's a pull-over jacket. If I let go, I'll no longer have the use of my hands. And there's no telling what they would do once I was blinded. 2, 3. I let go. And he pulls the windbreaker over my head. and then he yanks it back down. Yo, son, don't ever do that. Word. His homie chimes in. Don't ever let nobody play you like that. That jack is dope. And you're from Manhattanville. Hold your shit down now, man. I could barely manage to nod my head yes. Now, if I ever hear you playing soft, man, I'm gonna have to come see you. Word? Oh, I heard. Now, as payment for this important lesson, I'm gonna need that watch. Oh, it's my Star Wars watch. Very popular. But hey, this is way better than my previous options. I gladly snap it off and give it to him. Boom. Oh, he punches me in the stomach. What did I just tell you? Lucky for me, we hear a squeaky door, which means somebody is coming. This interrupts our little lesson, and we all scatter. I ran straight home, and I never told a soul. That was too close for me. See, 1 year before this, some guy tried to rob my big brother Barry, but he got stabbed up for $40. He barely walked himself to the hospital. He was an extremely gifted painter, Foxy Brown loving, 007 idolizing cool kid who was the original Lego mastermind. After my family spent the wee hours of the night in the hospital, the nurse handed my mother a clear bag of my brother's bloodstained clothes. We left that morning defeated, gone at 19. The image of my father sitting next to me in that Plymouth Chrysler, sobbing uncontrollably, is still scarred in my memory. Our car jerked with each inconsolable heave. I have to be more careful. If I die too, what would it do to my family?
All right. Thanks for listening. Let's bring up Ian and Jeffrey Solomon, my co-founder and the podcast host. Hi, Ian. Oh, I can hear Ian.
You're muted. You're muted.
I'm back. I'm not muted. I'm unmuted.
We need you tonight, man. You're
Put me off mute, damn it. Come on.
The few minutes of the story that you all just heard originated in our 2013 Gun Country Storytelling Workshops, which was a creative residency that Jeff and I facilitated together with people whose lives had been touched by guns and violence in one way or another. But let's start off with Ian and Jeff. Why don't you just go ahead and introduce yourselves?
Good evening, everyone. My name is Ian Eaton. I have been a member of Houses on the Moon Theater Company since about 2005 or 6. I'm never sure. Someone always ends up correcting me, but
It's
2005. 5. Thank you. See, I knew someone was going to correct me. And started out with Tara's Crossing, which was a wonderful show. The reason I think stories are important, because I think it's the best way to get to know someone, and they help build community. I mean, when you apply for a job, the first thing your employer asks you is, tell me something about yourself. So they really want to hear a story. They want to hear something about your character and who you are. So I think stories are sort of the things that really bring us together.
Awesome. My name is Jeffrey Solomon. I'm the co-founder of Houses on the Moon Theater Company, the creative producer on this podcast, and the host. And I just wanted to tell you a little more about the podcast. We found ourselves with COVID benched, the lights gone dark in the theater. And we were like, what are we going to do with ourselves? But our research process, our developmental process, we've been listening to and collecting stories for over 20 years. First, through hundreds of hours of interviews. And later, in the last 10 years, with these wonderful storytelling workshops, which are nurturing, creative, and safe places. One of the things that we discovered in the Gun Country workshop is that many folks who have been impacted by violence seem to absorb the societal directive to keep silent, to not talk about it. And our workshops created space, nurturing, slow, careful space to develop story. And I think that's what is going to make this pilot special. It's a storytelling podcast. You'll be hearing real stories, true stories that come out of our workshop process. And we also partner with grassroots community groups who can help make sure that the stories are authentic and on target and can provide education and support resources on site when we perform or now when we share the podcast. So I'm really, really psyched. Let's meet the rest of the creative team.
Woo!
Woo! Ow!
Ow!
Yes.
Hi.
Okay, Will, can we start with you?
Will, you're on mute.
Mute again. The mute monster.
The most common statement of 2020.
I know it is.
Unmute.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm Will Coley. I'm the producer on the podcast. I'm an independent radio and audio producer, and I've known Jeff and Emily for many years. The whole team I've known for years. And I've always been attracted to stories about people standing up to injustice and trying to challenge things that are wrong in our world. And I think that's why I love the work of Houses on the Moon, because so many of the stories are about that. And I'm just excited about the ability to bring these stories to people while they're at home. So even though it'd be great to be in a theater, I think there's so much magic in these stories that needs to be shared. So I'm glad to be a part of the team.
Me too.
Oh, wonderful. Hey, Raleigh, can we hear from you next?
Sure. My name is Raleigh Neal. I'm the composer to the soundtrack to this piece. Wonderful piece. Ian, man, killing me. Loving hearing about it. And I feel like this is just so important at this time where we are sedentary and we can be reflective. And these reflections, there's your reflection back in your life. And this just blew me away and it touched me in so many ways. So it was a pleasure. This was a wonderful opportunity. And also, just a part of my background, I actually worked with Jeffrey Solomon way back in the days at City Kids Foundation in New York. So this was a reunion for us of many, many years. But and so we're proud of those many years. And thank you so much for having me. Blessings.
Thanks, Raleigh. And finally, Elaine, can we hear from you?
Yes. Hello, everybody. My name is Elaine Lane. My son was killed when he was a teen because as a result of gun violence. And that's how I became a part of the community Jeff and Emily has created. I was a part of the workshops given back in 2013 and was able to tell my story during the first storytelling event of Gun Country. I think telling stories, giving us the opportunity to tell our stories, I think it's twofold. And I think Ian and Jeff, both of you touched on both parts. The first part for me is it kept me from feeling so alone. That's one thing. The other thing is that it gave me permission to feel and to say and to allow others to join in with me. The other part is it gives the community an opportunity to walk in our shoes and get to know us just a little bit better. And so it helps create community. It allows others to see themselves in us. And hopefully, just maybe allows us to see ourselves in others. I also run an organization called David's Shoes. And the purpose of that is to talk to students and get them to honor who they are, to realize their dreams, and to be the most fantastic human beings that they were designed to be. So that's why I'm here.
Thank you.
I feel extremely fortunate. I know Jeff feels the same to have all of you joining us for the pilot episode, which we're so proud of, but also for the podcast in general as our creative team. So we've got a good bunch. Thank you. Yeah, Elaine, I remember, just to lead into this next section, I remember when we first met, and your partnership from the very beginning of this project and process has actually been detrimental on everything. So I just want to give you a special shout out for
thank you.
for all of these years being with us, and and so much more. So Ian's story, Steve, it's called Steve, the few minutes that you just heard, as we said, it developed originally in our Gun Country storytelling workshops. And we've been performing this piece for many years on and off in various venues, in theaters, in hospitals, at conferences, libraries. And Ian has shared his story as a performance piece along with many other beautiful stories, including Elaine's. And what he's been doing, Ian, I'm talking about for the last few years, is he's continued to develop his piece. And he's working towards a full solo show, which Houses on the Moon is very excited about working on with him. And we very much hope in the near future, all of you will be able to experience that fully in the flesh. So that's what we're going towards. So what we're going to do now is we're going to hear some bonus material from Ian. This is not on the pilot. And just to sort of set up what you're going to hear, in a way, we're going backwards in time with his story, just to give you an idea of how this piece is developing for the future. So Ian, are you ready?
Yep, I'm ready. Am I muted?
You're not muted.
Okay, great. I think I'm ready.
So the rest of us are going to go away for a few minutes. In fact, about 10 minutes to be specific, and we'll be back. So Ian, go for it.
Okay. Today is the day. Today is the day that I will fly. The sun winking behind the clouds is my cue. And it sounds dramatic. Clear skies, check. Elevation, check. Balloons, check. I wrap party balloons all over my body. It's my Aunt Maud's birthday party. While people are stuffing themselves with cake and tarts, I spot a nice steep green hill in her backyard that looks perfect for a launch. What, you've never seen a 4-year-old fly before? Now, this was the first time that I could remember visiting St. Thomas, and it was the most beautiful place that I'd ever been to. It was not just my family's home, but it was home to the bluest blues and greenest greens I'd ever seen. And at night, the air opens wide with shiny, bright eyes blinking back at you. No tall buildings to cast even longer shadows. In comparison to where I lived in Harlem, when I was here, I felt safe and cradled by nothing but light and sky. It's all so familiar and unfamiliar all at once. So all of my cousins are cheering me on. Duchess, Gypsy, Sean, Stinking Weed, Tubby, Missy Mo, Boogaloo, Fat Chicken, Bones, Mama, Papoose, and Punk. Short for pumpkin. Our parents like fucking with us. What's up, Boogaloo? What are you doing out there? We just playing. Go, Ian. Go, 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 go. And I'm waving. Hey. You know, it's good to know that I've got the support of the little people. They probably just want to be able to brag about their cousin, the superhero, and they'll want me to give them a ride later too. With some effort, I make it to the top. I can see them all jumping up and down in excitement below. I check my arms and legs, and the balloons are still there. It's time. Without pause or hesitation, I fling myself off the hill, and in that instant, my pudge has defied gravity. In this single breath, my leap is equal to flight, only to have reality tug my fantasy and my fat ass back to earth with a thud. They all laugh with delight, of course. And the sprinkles on top is me painfully rolling all the way down this hill. When I finally stand up, in agony, I realize I have thorns all over my body. They hoot and holler. I can't fully cry out loud because I'm shocked. It didn't work. I'm not a superhero. I don't have any powers. I'm not special. Finally, when they're done laughing, everyone stands around me and helps pick the thorns out of my body. Ah, ooh, are they the sweetest? Family. Even though I'm bathed in tears and pain, even when I shake with shame and embarrassment, in my mind, I'm resolved to try again. A year or so later, back in New York, I thought it was a safer bet just to run all over the living room furniture in my cape. That's right. My mom's made me a cape. She was always sewing things for herself, like dresses and jackets and stuff to save money. She was really good. I commissioned her to make something for me out of some scraps she had lying around. And boy, did she come through. It was blue and had a white border. And the moment I put it on, I knew I had to seek out justice. I also like the idea of saving people and helping people. My big brother wasn't so impressed. Hey, Barry, you see my cape? Yep. It's nice, right? Yeah, man, it's cool. What's that? It's cologne. Oh, let me have some. No. Gimme. No. Why not? 'Cause you're not a man. You're not a man. You don't even have any hair on your balls. You gotta have hair on your balls to be a man. Shut up. Where are you going? To a jam. Oh, let me get my sneakers. No, you're too little. Oh, man. You want to borrow my cape? No. But that's nice of you. Next time. Thanks. Yo, if I went to the gym, I would do my dance like this. I'd go like this. What are you doing? Dancing. I don't think so. This is how Pop does it. No. He's not setting a good example for us. Don't do that. Listen, why are you so serious? You should smile. Enjoy yourself. Be cool. When you have a good time, other people do. Oh, right. You mean like this? Like that? Yeah. You got it. No, I don't. I'm just saying that to make me feel better. I'll try to get better like you, though. No, you crazy, man. I like the way you do it now. You don't want to be me. You don't have to be anyone but yourself. You chilling. You're all cool and whatnot. Just flash a smile and you'll be great. Even if things are hard to do, just chill, relax. Smile can make everything a little bit easier. Oh, sounds like you know who. Oh, Pop, look. I got a cape. I can even fly. Look, wait, no. Back up. Ugh. He's been doing this all day. Yeah. I was hoping he'd be tired by the time I got home. Sure. Oh, yeah. That's good. Hey, Barry, you headed out? Oh, you look nice, man. Is this mine? Better not be. Yeah, today's Friday, right? Kenny's party? You might be out pretty late, huh? Well, hey, let me rap to you for a minute. Yeah, rap. Not too long ago, that meant you want to talk to somebody. Now it's all this hippity to the hip hop poppity shit. And hey, that's cool. Come on, this won't take long. Sit down. Now, first of all, I wish I didn't have to have this conversation with you. But I wouldn't sleep if I didn't talk to you. So now, I know I've already spoken to you about drugs and alcohol, and you're a good young man. I know it. but this is different. This is important. Now, I want you and the fellas to have a good time tonight, okay? But I want you to be careful. Let me finish. It doesn't matter whose house it is or how safe the area is. It doesn't matter. Because as long as you're living within this area, even in the safest of places, you can be in danger. You can be in danger. Ian, settle down. Danger, Will Robertson. Sit down, sit down. No. Things are not so much better. Things look different, but it's all the same shit. I've been around long enough to know the difference. You haven't. That's the whole point, okay? So, you remember Jim Brothers? Tall, bald-headed guy? His wife and son came by for dinner? It's okay if you don't. You were little. Well, not long after Jim left corrections and went on to becoming a police officer, after he went through training and so forth, they were issued their weapons. And in the locker room, he overheard a group of guys talking, white guys. And one of them said, I can't wait to go and kill me a nigga. And the other said, well, if you plan on making your bones, you better. That means paying your dues, making your bones, okay? It's as if it's some fucking rite of passage. These men have taken a sworn oath to protect you, and yet he said himself, if he's got the opportunity, he'll take your life. And no one will be the wiser. You just be another black boy up to no good, and you got what you deserve because it's his word over yours. So, when they speak to you, I want you to speak properly in full sentences and do everything they tell you to do. You say, yes, sir, and no, sir. No, that is not honky jive, man. That's staying alive, man. Look at it like this. Imagine you're in the military, all right? He's your commanding officer, and he's also your elder. Show him that you respect him. Show him you are not here to make any trouble for him at all. Don't give him any attitude. Don't give him any dirty looks. Nothing. Just, thank you, officer. I appreciate you. Have a good night, sir. I'm not asking you to kiss anybody's ass. Ma'am, kiss my grits. Ian, settle down. I'm telling you how to get home. You understand? And whether you like it or not, you're going to get right. You're going to live and you're going to come home. Don't give them a reason to dislike you. He should take my cape too, right, Pop? No. It's okay, Ian. Over here. Sit down. Now, you give them one of these. Your mother has one too. It's my PBA card. They give you any trouble, give my name and call me. Okay? Good. Can I have one? Man, you don't even have a wallet, man. Where you gonna put it? Can I have a wallet? You know what? Yeah, we're gonna get you a wallet. Yeah. I'm gonna put $1 million in my wallet. Yeah. Good luck with that. Thank you.
Thank you, Ian. That was beautiful.
Thank you.
Yeah, Ian, that was awesome. One of the things you'll hear in the podcast that Ian talks about in conversation with us is that he hadn't much talked about Barry after Barry's passing. That we didn't know that Ian had a brother, and it's so wonderful to be able to tell his story and to honor him. The both of you are wonderful storytellers. Elaine is our community partner with her organization, David's Shoes. The first project of David's Shoes really was a huge story. This collection of shoes. I'm going to let you Elaine tell you about it, but it honors David and also all the young people that died the year that he was also killed. And I know it has a profound effect on people. So I just wanted to take a moment to think about what the power of these stories out in the community and how they land. And could you speak to that a bit?
Yes, we started back, I think it's in 2007. And the goal was, and the reason for David Shoes is because that's exactly what it is. We use shoes to demonstrate just how drastic and how horrendous this problem of teen violence or gun violence is. In research, the year in which my son was killed, which was 1998, 3,792 kids under the age of 19 were killed. When I found out this, we had been in the war with Iraq for 3 years, and we had not lost that many service people. I grieved their loss, but we had just gotten to 2000, and yet in 1 year, we had lost 3,792, in which there was no war, no, what do you call it, certified war. And I just knew that I just wanted to talk to kids. I wanted to talk to kids and talk to them about who they were and how fantastic they are, and the importance of making decisions that honors who they are, that values their own lives. And even my first set of shoes started out, well, of course, with David's shoes. I had them in the corner of his room for years. And finally, I had the opportunity to pull them out of that corner and use them. But at going to schools and talking to students, and I told them, I said, you guys who've got shoes all the way under your beds and your closets and everything else, donate them to me. And if you know someone who's been killed as a result of gun violence, tell me their stories. And so that's exactly what students began to do. And so my first group of shoes were from kids who had heard my story, but my story was, for me, it was just the introduction to a conversation, because I wanted them to talk to me too. I wanted to know their feelings. I wanted to know how they felt, and that seemed to work. There have been times in which I've done presentations with kids who had just lost a schoolmate. And I remember one young lady, when she was telling me her story, her mother saw her father being killed by a policeman on the front porch. And as a result of that, her mother, was really in a state of grief, going through all the entire process, but not having any kind of support. So it was very difficult for her to accept this, and it was very difficult for her parents to accept this, her mother to accept this. I also met another young lady who was in full anger, the full state of anger. And I had to, I just, the only thing I could do was to accept and to understand that. And I did understand that anger, and I didn't try to push her from being anything else but angry, because she had a right to be angry. And I don't know, I think that's why it's important to tell the stories, because these young people, I don't think would have told their stories without someone else sharing what's happened to them. And I think go ahead.
Sorry. Elaine, just to clarify, the David Shoes exhibit, the idea is that young people, or even anyone in the community, can see these hundreds of shoes representing the scale of the loss, each shoe representing a life.
Each shoe representing a life. Each shoe has a story attached to it. It tells the child's name, when this person was killed, what was the circumstances around this kid. And some shoes have the funeral service program. Some shoes have the picture of the students, because each one of those shoes, as far as I'm concerned, are extremely important. They do represent a child. They do represent a life that has been lost. And we need to respect it and learn from it, So yes, absolutely. I don't have 3,792 pairs of shoes, but I've got a basement full that we use with anytime I speak or anytime I have an opportunity to exhibit the shoes.
Ian, what do you think Barry's life and death that you tell us has to teach us in this current moment?
I think, well, as far as my story is concerned, I think it's taught me to continue to work towards making things better. I mean, I could have easily, shut things down with Steven pretty early and just kept fighting him, but instead I chose another way. And I took the opportunity to learn his story. So again, it's trying to continue to try to create community, to come together, to listen to each other, to be empathic.
And for those of you listening who may have not heard the full story yet, Steven is the kid at the very beginning in the first 3 minutes you heard today that is bullying Ian. And Ian, well, you'll listen, but Ian turns that around in a really beautiful way. We may have not mentioned this, but we'd love to take questions from you. You can post them on the YouTube site or the Facebook site you're watching, and we will receive them. If you have any questions for Ian, Elaine, or the creative and production team, Raleigh and Will, please send them to us. We'd love to. We're not going to be here much longer, but we'd love to take a few questions from the community. And wait, they're pouring in. As a small.
Can we bring Will and Raleigh back as well, so they're here with us? Great. Hi.
The team.
As a smaller venue, how are you feeling about returning to live performances? And do you have any estimate of when that might be? Well, where's Dr. Fauci when you need him?
We have plans for the late spring to be in a theater space. But I think that the general vibe, not just for us Houses on the Moon, but for so many of our, artistic colleagues, is we're really just taking this day by day and trying to embrace the moment, the best that we can, and take our time with it and not get to, we have a lot going on right now, virtually, a lot of new programs, and we want to just keep hearing stories, sharing stories, doing what we can, staying focused on our mission. I have to just point at, and we'll see about going live. I really don't know. We have plans to be at Theater Row with a new project that's developing called Shared Sentences in May. But again, we're really trying to just roll with it right now. But I will say that, even just like right now, the fact that we're making this podcast and Jeff is so involved, my beloved creative partner who's been living in California for the last many years, and that there's no problem with him living in California right now, and that Raleigh's here, from California, and it just, our audience really can expand, and we, like was mentioned a little earlier before, I think Raleigh, you said this, being able to connect with people in ways that we weren't able to until we were put in this situation. So that's what we're trying to focus on right now, and we miss people in the live form desperately, like we all do, but we'll get back there as soon as we possibly can.
We have another question here. Can we talk about the podcast season we have planned? And sure, we're drawing on an archive of dozens of stories. From this project, Gun Country, that both Ian and Elaine worked on, there's some extraordinary stories. A police officer, a young woman whose mom was killed by an accidental shooting from the neighbor next door. There's all kinds of just beautiful stories, beautifully told. We have another project called Transformation. It's about gender identity in childhood, and we worked in storytelling workshops with young transgender people and their families, and explore inclusion and acceptance. And there's some extraordinary stories coming your way from that program. Emily most recently has been doing Shared Sentences, focusing on the experience of family members the experience of people who have family members and loved ones who are incarcerated. And there's some fantastic stories coming out of those workshops. So there's just a wealth of material. And we're hoping to do one full radio play of our show De Novo about an unaccompanied minor from Guatemala who's in U.S. immigration custody. If you haven't seen the play, we're very excited about sharing an audio version of that and then connecting you with human rights folks and lawyers who are representing migrant kids in immigration court. Hey, Raleigh or Will, do you have anything else to say just about this specific process, this story, Ian's story, and Elaine?
I just remembered several things with Ian. And you're right, I didn't know Ian had a brother until I heard this part of the story. And I know for the first month, at least for the first 2, 3, 4 months, if you didn't know I had a son, then you didn't know I had a son, because his name was not mentioned. So that brought that up to me. I remembered, I said, oh my God, and here again, it just lets you know that that what you're feeling is not odd, that other people have similar feelings or go through some of the similar things as well.
Ian, do you want to respond to Elaine?
Yeah. I mean, that was super empowering for me, and it was something that I wasn't expecting. Again, it was just a story that I'd had in my head for a while, and you guys created, a really safe, nurturing space to be able to share something like that. And I remember when I wrote the first couple of lines, I shared them with your sister, actually, with Joanne. She was my partner that day. So I'm reading it to Joanne. She's like, you should keep writing that. I'm like, all right, great. And so here we are, here I am. So it's been a wonderful, rewarding experience.
Raleigh, I was struck by the way in which the music almost brings us to the theater and suggests location and era really beautifully. Does that resonate with you at all?
Sure.
Were you thinking about place and time?
Well, I mean, I'm in California now, but I've had the fortune of living a long time in New York, and the specifics around what Ian spoke about and how he delivered them, and the language he used, and the changes of his accent, and the concept of the stairs, in how dangerous, all these things, it hit me so hard. This was probably one of the easiest things to just go to, because it was so vivid in my mind from what I was hearing from his dialogue. It was amazing.
In this podcast, we're finding the language of the series. We're finding the aesthetic. And so we'd love to hear from any of you out there after you've had a chance to listen. What resonates? Do you miss? Is there anything you're missing? Will, I thought you did a beautiful job at bringing sound effects in. Again, almost taking us to just right there. Very, very visceral. Is that something you want to talk about?
Yeah, well, I mean, it's been a great project for me, because I most of my work has been sort of more documentary or reporting, nonfiction reporting. So for me, it was an opportunity to have some fun with the sound design. So I was able to record like when I was listening to Ian tell the story, I was thinking about like the cues for what could be sounds, from that. And so those were recorded like in my stairwell in my building in Queens. And
I didn't know that. That's fantastic.
Yeah. So some of them were made, some of them I found elsewhere, but I actually recorded them. So yeah, that was a fun part. And I think Raleigh's music just really brought it to life in a way that I hadn't even really anticipated. And his expertise as far as scoring and how to underline the emotions that Ian was bringing up, I think did a great job. So yeah. And it was fun doing the priest voice. You'll hear the thing with the priest voice. We talked about that.
Oh yeah, if you haven't listened yet, you're in for a treat when you meet Father Luis.
Yeah.
I'm thinking just now, talking to all of you, that we really need a repository for stories in response. When people hear Ian's story, when they hear Elaine's story, they're going to have their own stories. And we should be brainstorming about how to create a container, a safe place where that dialogue can happen. Is there anything else from digital land out there? Any more final questions and or comments? You can post them on Facebook or YouTube.
And I'll just add, Jeff, is there one?
No, there's not. But I bet people are curious. Where will they be able to find the podcast as the episodes roll out? Is it Broadway Podcast Network?
Yes, we're working on all of that, but it will be. I can't give specific information at this moment, but yes, we're working with Broadway Podcast Network, and for the future, and we're looking at towards the end of the year or early 2021 to be broadcast.
So stay tuned to the Houses on the Moon website and social media channels.
And I will just add to what was being said about your feedback. This is to all of you out there. Part of our process has always been, we talked about this a little bit earlier today, but when we're developing our work, it's always been essential and critical that we have, community partnerships, and that as we develop our work, we're used to several public sharings in which we have conversations after that help us do our work better and more authentically. And so in a way, with this new program of the podcast, which is brand new to us, we're asking that of you, so please do continue. We're always open to emails and phone calls and messaging, and we want to collaborate with you and hear your thoughts, whatever they may be. So please keep that going. All right, well, unless anyone has anything else to say, I'm going to sort of start to wrap it up here. And first of all, Ian, Elaine, Raleigh, Will, Jeff, thank you all so very much. Dylan, who's behind the scenes running this right now, thank you so much. Kevin, always. Our next virtual event for Houses on the Moon will be on October 15th. At the same time, we're trying to stick with Thursday evenings at 6 o'clock. So October 15th is our annual event, Amplify 2020. It's going to be quite exciting. Please come. You'll actually be getting an official invite emailed to you next week. So stay tuned for that. Again, a heartfelt and deep thanks to the Lanky Family Foundation for sponsoring this episode and for your generous matching campaign commitment. We are also eternally grateful to Acton Family Giving and the Alpern Family Foundation for both of their continued love and support over the years, which goes so far. And then an ongoing thank you to our passionate, our committed board of directors, our ridiculously talented and intelligent company of artists, and last but certainly not least, to all of you, our extended family. We're eternally grateful. Thank you. And everybody have a good night. See you soon.